All right, we're going to get started, so could you please sit down? Take a seat. Thank you. This next presentation is going to be very interesting. I'd like to introduce Peter Kalnai, I'm sorry.
All right, no trouble.
and Martin Jirkal, and they're from ESET. They're going to be talking about a malicious OS X cocktail served from a tainted bottle. Take it away, guys.
One server infected twice in the last few months, in both cases delivering very new Mac malware pieces. We have analysis, we have numbers, and we suggest a method how to detect indicators of compromise on Mac systems. Hello, everybody. My name is Peter. This is Martin. We are from ESET, Czech Republic, and we are so glad to be here at this event. The outline of our talk is as follows. We start with the story of itself, a compromised website, transmission application, a BitTorrent client. And then we follow with analysis of a distributed OS X malware, and we conclude with an experimental part, how to use Volatility Framework in context of malware analysis for Mac profiles. Thanks to Robert Simmons earlier this morning from Threat Connect, he did it for Windows profiles. So we follow for Mac now. Okay, the story itself. Mac malware, it is not that abundant as its Windows counterpart. However, there exist some malware families. This is a timeline for the last five years with most proper backdoors and rats mostly connected with APTs. And we see the very new, fresh blue bubbles that was like part of that malicious OS X cocktail combined with official transmission clients this year. Let's focus on the timeline of attacks. Everything started in March when KeRanger, that was first crypto ransomware, was discovered on transmission application. In a few hours, basically, the next day it was removed, so response was very instant. But let's say that this was a bad surprise for OS X users. Then some time passed on, and the first Keydnap downloader was discovered. However, this was a silent, no IT security headlines, because it was work in progress, basically. But it delivered the first Keydnap backdoor, which was the second stage, in August, and this made headlines already. And the climax came at the end of August when Keydnap was detected. The very new version of Keydnap was detected in the official transmission application. And also it was removed quite instantly. However, the reaction of crowd was very negative. How was it? So all major IT security magazines reported about this, that BitTorrent client was infected, victimized again and again and again and again. Actually, this last picture from the report of Business Insider actually displays how users felt about this incident. We extracted just a few most liked, retweeted, and most upvoted reactions, which basically said that transmission application never again. However, were there any positive facts about this incident? Response from transmission team. They implemented removal of OS X KeRanger in the actual version of transmission client. And after the second incident, they moved their download to another repo, namely GitHub. And also binaries and checksums split in two different locations. However, what we have to say that investigation of these incidents are still ongoing. Therefore, we won't answer perhaps the most interesting questions that we have. But let us summarize the questions that may be of interest. How many downloads had the infected transmission in both cases? How long in hours was the malicious bundle available for download? How did the transmission team actually find out about these compromises? And how many users does OS X version of transmission application have in total? Okay, we could speculate about this, but these next questions are would be left open. How did the attackers compromise the server? Which platform the attack went through? It was a Linux server. It could have been Mac OS server as well. Could have. Is it possible that the attackers had access to the server all the time between the incidents? And finally, transmission is a volunteer-based project. How many contributors do contribute to this? And are there any roles connected with security within the team? Having said that already, we haven't answered for all these questions. However, let's try to answer them partially. And this would come in this table. The first incident was reported by Palo Alto Networks. From their report, we know the number of the time of availability. It was 32 hours, approximately. At that time, actually, no hit with ESET live grid for various reasons. How actually did ESET learn about the incident in the second case? Thanks to one special heuristic detection that hit one infected victim on the very first day, the same day when the binary was signed on. But you know, the time between ESET hit the victim and the time when ESET's researchers realized that there's a new malware piece outside was not immediate. So there took about 1 day that we learned this fact. And we contacted, it was like that the delay between the first ESET researcher downloaded malicious bundle from the official source and the time where the malicious bundle was removed from the server, believe or not, it was less than 15 minutes. So response from the team, from the transmission team, was immediate. And in this case, we know also the number of downloads, 251. You could subtract one because that was our colleague in ESET. And we dare to estimate the number of downloads in this first case. We don't know, but we think it's less than 1,000. The number is higher because in this case, malware was pushed as update to clients. Let's, Martin, continue with more technical details.
All right. Is it working? Do you hear me? I don't hear myself.
Sounds like it's working.
Yeah? Okay. It's working. Now I hear myself. Okay, let's start with the first malware. The KeRanger, the first crypto ransomware on OS X, and the first malware we got during the transmission incident. It installed itself into library folder. It stayed hidden for 3 days. Downloads from CNC server, RSA master key, ransom message, encrypt some of your documents, and give you a little ransom message just next to the documents. It doesn't change any background or anything as we are used to in Windows, only the document. For communication, it uses Tor network, actually Tor to web proxy. It creates some files on your computer, 3, well, actually 4. If you see the 4th file, it's too late. Everything's encrypted and you can cry. Okay, let's talk about ransom message. They wanted 1 Bitcoin from users. I think that's quite a lot, but okay. Interesting thing about the wallet, we looked at the wallet and there was no money, no transaction. They didn't earn anything, which I really like as malware researcher. About the language, it's not very good. Some missing words, bad grammar, like we are accept only Bitcoins. Yeah, that's like a computer. So probably not native English speakers. That's all for KeRanger for now. Let's talk about Keydnap. Keydnap had 3 stages that we saw. The first one is downloader that downloads the second stage, the backdoor. And then there is the third stage, the outd service. That was for quite a long time a mystery for us, but I will talk about it a little bit later today. Okay, the downloader. The downloader is just some file that looks, have icon of JPG. It even have the extension of JPG. Actually not, it have the extension JPG empty space. That means it's unknown extension, and we are in OS X, and if the extension is unknown and it's executable, the terminal will open the file. When the terminal opens the file, he finds out it's binary, he executes it, well, then it deletes itself after it downloads the backdoor, of course, and exchange the downloader with JPEG. About the pictures, well, the pictures are pretty strange. I have no idea what this means. We have other picture, well, 2 years old, about window from Firefox, okay. And, that's something we know, that's Black Hat TDS. That's actually underground piece of software. We don't really know what the infection vector of downloader is. And we see this image, so maybe it has something to do with underground forums, I don't know. All right, backdoor. By the way, the downloader, it has nothing to do with the transmission incident. We got the downloader way before the transmission incident. After that, we even got the backdoor, and the newest type of backdoor we got is the one we saw during the transmission incident, the second one. All right, Keydnap. What the backdoor tries to do? It does quite a lot to look like some Apple iCloud synchronization daemon. Well, it actually even is good enough to hide itself from the PS command. So it really looks like some proper application. It tries to steal your keychain. That means all your stored password on your Mac. That's not very good. For that, it uses proof of concept that is well known, and you can find it on the internet. It also uses Tor to web to communicate, and in the newest version, 1.5, it has its own Tor client, so we can see there's still some improvement. The backdoor have now 10 commands. It used to have 9. The 10 is in the latest version. It does all the things you would expect from the backdoor, like update, download, execute command, all the things every backdoor have. The interesting parts are the bottom ones. There's a request administration password, the number 8. Cannot be seen. Number 8, which waits for 2 processes within 2 seconds to be executed, and then they will ask for password to evaluate the privileges. That's quite nice. In the latest version, as I said, command number 10, they can change the CNC URL. And command number 9 is the interesting one because it downloads something named outd service. For a long time, we really didn't know what is it. Well, it's the stage 3, of course. So we created this little script just to communicate with the CNC server and see what they say to us, what they want to do, what the backdoor wants to do. Actually, all the time, everything we got was, okay, we exist. That weren't very helpful, actually, but after a long time, we got something, and it was command number 9, the outd service, base64 encoded file. And what does it do? It's another backdoor. This time small one, maybe less interesting one, maybe more interesting one. It just 3 commands: read, write, execute something something we want to do. So maybe now is time for a question. Why they have this huge backdoor that does everything, and suddenly they download another backdoor that does little thing of the same as the big backdoor? Why? Well, there's one idea because they changed the protocol. They ditched the Tor, and they started using IPv4, and they started encrypting their communication. So my idea is maybe it was really pretty easy to listen to their CNC server. Maybe they wanted something better. Hard to say. So at the end of my part, there's one question probably all of you already have in your mind. Is the KeRanger and Keydnap from the same author? Well, there are some similarities. Okay, that's not similarity, that's just their fact. KeRanger didn't earn any money. Keydnap didn't really steal any keychain. They never asked for it. We were listening, so we know that. So I know this is not really good fact, but I like to say that. Okay, both of them used the transmission open source code, and they recompiled the transmission code to create the infected file. That's the same. When we looked at the dropper functionality, they looked quite the same, like it was programmed by the same person. Both of them were signed by the legitimate signature, so that's also same. And when you look at the URL, it's that both of the applications use malware. They are pretty similar. In parts, they are exactly the same. So are they from the same author? Maybe, but that's on you two. What do you think? So, Peter.
Okay, we have some time, and so conclude with an experimental part. This one is not finished yet. All we want to is to leave an impression, what's possible. So what's Volatility Framework, shortly VF? It's like a bunch of scripts, Python scripts that operate with memory dumps, and each memory dump is associated with a profile that VF knows how to parse kernel structures and so on. And there is a bunch of Mac pre-built profiles available on official repo, but they are not. This list is not complete, and also Mac OS Sierra is missing. It's not available yet. Actually, we had some troubles with Mac profiles because correct profile is of utmost importance. If you don't have correct profile with your memory dump, you would get error strings like invalid profile selected or no suitable address space mapping found. So, if you don't have a pre-built variant, a pre-built profile, you can create it on your own. You should follow the hints that are provided on the official VF wiki pages. So you should run dsymutil on some data. These data are kernel debug kit. Another strange thing that not every system update of Mac OS has available kernel debug kit at Apple website. But this command worked well. Actually, we downloaded one pre-built profile and we want to reproduce this profile doing these commands. And you have to do also another command, but in this case the outputs differ. So we failed to get profiles using this recipe. So therefore we focus only pre-built profiles. So this was first obstacles. Then our test environments. We have real hardware and two virtualizations, namely VMware and VBox. Real hardware is fine. It was Mac Mini, 8 gigabytes of memory, running El Captain. What was of great importance at this case was to achieve memory dump from the system. We borrowed a tool called OSXPMEM from Jirkal framework. This is another forensic analyst framework available online. And actually, this was a recent version from May 2016. The two steps. First step is to load kernel extension, and the second step is to actually dump the memory. Note that you should explicitly state the format, because otherwise the output would be in a format that VF is not compatible with. But what was, this was like good news, but bad news was that this was like time and space overhead, because if you infect real hardware, you should revert somehow, clean it, and this was not what we expected from our environment. So therefore, we focused on virtualization. But our computers are running Windows, and installing Mac OS was kind of trouble. Definitely on VirtualBox, because this virtualization is unsupported, and installations of OS X were very unstable. However, we succeeded with one case, and it was Mac Yosemite running on VBox on Windows computer. Acquiring memory dump was very easy. That was good news. However, we tried also VMware. At this time, installation of OS X operating system was very smooth. Virtualization was fine. System behavior okay. But however, no idea why transmission applications were crashing here. So we can't reproduce our malware executions here. And also in this case, memory dumps, very easy. It is just the last daemon file in the directory of virtual machine. Okay, so we have one test environment, and we have we could apply Mac plugins. This is just categories and various Mac plugins that are available to reach some system information from memory. Okay, and now scheme. This is what we imagine how could this thing work. Do you remember Browser's Bulletin 2015? Martin Coleman presented his tool called Volatility Bot. It was also written in Python, and it was like working with volatility, like creating golden image. That means fixing some clean state, producing outputs, then executing some unknown sample, and then comparing outputs. So it was very comfortable to work with in command line. So we adapted this from his PE version, because his intentions were for Windows malware, to OS X DMG volumes. And so we collected these outputs from both states. And now we could, doing some blacklisting, whitelisting, we could produce two outcomes. The first one is to create another VF plugin that would detect indicators of compromise on infected Mac systems, and the second, cleaning scripts. And if this is not enough, then we wanted to visualize these different outputs. And for this purpose, we used Volatility graphic user interface for volatility, written by Kevin Breen this year, 2016. And how does it look like? It's like a web interface. This is the initial page, 2 sessions. We have infected OS X transmission in August and in March. And let us click on the recent version. That means that one from August. At the upper left part of the next web page, you would see session information. Which name did we choose? Path to a memory file. Memory profile is selected automatically, right? It is set that way. Optional creation date. And the last thing is if golden image is in use. That means, you will see in the next slides, there would be a special column called diff. And in that column, you would have an information if this was present in the golden image or not. So let's scroll us down the web page, and we found a text box called filter plugins. If you filter plugins, and under it would be like list of plugins with outputs already generated, and on the right side it's like output of this time Mac mount plugin. You could see with ID 5 there's volume called transmission, and in the column diff it is the information that this was not present in golden image state. And how to filter plugins. When you start to type processes, you get just those plugins related to processes and process memories. You could see Mac PS3, Mac LSF, and so on. So let us choose some standard one. You could see the output. Actually, license RTF is malicious one, iCloud Procs is a Tor client, transmission is the BitTorrent client. That is clean one, however, it is dropping the first two. And the last three processes is like system processes connected with mounting a volume. Okay, another Mac PSX view. Now you can see in your right upper part search text box. And if you start typing here, rows are filtered based on the content in the window. So if you start typing like new pit, then just processes that were created in infected image are displayed only. It is like 6 processes, 3 of them are system ones. After getting more experience with this framework, one could whitelist, blacklist information that is not important. But those 3 are very important: transmission, iCloud Procs, and license.rtf. Okay, let's start typing plugins connected with networking, and namely choose one called MacNetStat. Actually, the one row that is highlighted is obvious false positives, and this is the obvious disadvantage of Volatility Framework as a non-live tool. It's just seeking tags in the memory. So sometimes, from time to time, false positives arrive. And in this MacNetStat output, we start to filter, of course, new bits. And now we see that transmission opened connections, UDP and TCP, and iCloud Procs, the Tor client, also established some connections. If you extract those remote IPs and put it in a web search, you would find out that those are Tor nodes. So everything makes sense. Okay, this is a Mac PSaux plugin. It's like arguments that were used with each process. I would like to point out only the last row because we blocked about it that the malware disguised itself like iCloud Procs ran from some special location, and this is like a proof how that this Volatility Framework sees that also. And the final thing, MacList files plugin. Actually, you have memory, you don't have file system, but there are references to files in the kernel memory, and these are extracted. Actually, note that at one page is 100 entries, and there is like 146 these pages, so there are a lot of references. But if you filter with the word new file, okay, the first row is a false positive. It should be like whitelisted later. But all the others, new files, were indicators of compromise. And there's more pages, but the rest was like the content of the volume itself, the volume of transmission. I guess this is the final slide. Only intention is to leave an impression what is possible. We would like to acknowledge our colleagues who did a great job, like especially Marc Etienne Leveillé and Alexis Doré-Joncas, and also Miro Legeny, and others. I guess we would very, very glad to answer any questions, any comments to this work. And this is the end of our talk.
Yeah, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we are out of time, so we don't have questions, but if you can catch up with Peter and Martin out in the hall, that would be great. So would you please join with me in thanking them for a terrific presentation? Thank you.